Hi there, my name is Sally High, and I'm here with,
Amanda.
and I'm a therapist at High Expectations Counseling, and this is one of my dear friends. And today we just want to talk to you, two women coming together talking about relationships, and in particular, nasty breakups.
Yes.
Yeah, wow, we
Yes.
get a
Oh
lot
my
of
gosh.
those.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
know, I've been through many.
And I'm going through it currently. So.
Yeah. And I just want to start by saying I see so many women who feel so guilty. They feel trapped. They feel like, this is the best it's going to get. And I'm like, why? I think there's so much conditioning around this idea, like, well, because I'm married.
Yeah.
Then we have to break this social conditioning that says, well, just because I'm married, yeah, but is it healthy? Is it aligned to who you are? Is it
Yeah.
good for your kids?
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of social conditioning. But bottom line is, why would we ever stay around anyone that's unkind? Bottom line, if I could find one word that I want for my children, my daughter to be in this life, is not happy, but it's to just be kind and nice.
Right.
Kind and nice. And if we can't be that way, especially with our partners, what are we doing?
Right. Right.
So what are your thoughts?
I think that it's a matter of because we depending on how we grew up and the relationships that we've had throughout our lives, especially for me, I almost became addicted to the cycle of that toxic relationship and what I thought love
Yeah.
was, so I was almost looking for that, had no idea what anything
Yeah.
better felt like.
Yeah.
And it just becomes this constant
Cycle.
yeah, it's a cycle. It literally is a cycle.
You only know what you know, right?
Yeah. And even now, I recently am getting out of a really toxic relationship, and I still feel myself being pulled back to that almost I don't know, it feels almost too calm right now. It's
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Because your body's been in fight or flight for so long.
Yeah, exactly.
You've been running with so much anxiety and fear, always walking on eggshells. Especially, and let's talk about the different types of relationships. You've got the over controlling husband, and I'm not trying to categorize, but a lot of times, let's just say through conditioning of men or whatever, you might have a caretaker wife. The wife,
Right.
and let's just be real, through the generations of the feminine energy, female lineage, we were taught more to be caretakers, okay? To hold down the house, to be kind of quiet, not make waves, to
Right.
make sure that kids are taken care of, to make sure our husbands are happy and stuff like that. So that's embedded in our DNA. And if anyone wants to say no, okay.
Yeah.
But men were taught more to bring home money. I know it's changed everything, but a lot of this times it's just this feeling of it's my job and duty to make sure others are happy,
Right.
that my husband's happy. And so, and even so with the kids and too, but when it turns to toxic, it's if we haven't done the individual work before we get married, then we're running around like little kids with demands and expectations that are unrealistic.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's I'm home and you don't have dinner made. It's well, maybe I was sick. Maybe I didn't feel well. I don't
Right.
know.
That has to be okay. Unpack your shit at the door is what
Yeah.
I like to say. It's I don't know. I just feel there should be before you ever I want to teach my daughters that I don't know. I just feel there's so many expectations, like you said, but we bring all of our baggage into the relationship and expect the other person to just take it all on. Here, here's all my shit. Instead of handling your own shit, having them handle theirs and coming together and just being there for each other. And it takes work. It takes a lot of
We love it. We come into these wedding vows, this relationship. It's well, it's your job to love me, and then I'll love you. Oh, good. Well, please give me your definition for that.
Yeah.
I'd love for you to explain how someone else is supposed to fill me up. If I don't even know how to fill my own self up.
Right.
But I now have a partner, and so which is supposed to if I were to come home and say, well, I'm not happy, so what are you going to do about it? What do you mean, what am I going to do about it? How about nothing? How about I can hold the space for you? I can be there to listen. But there's nothing I can do to make you happy. That's your job.
Right.
And
it's taking me so long to really realize that, and I'm learning to trust myself and trust that even trusting other people, even when they hurt us or whatever they bring to the table, it's the more you trust yourself, the more you trust the little things that happen, or like, you know, like you almost like are like, okay, like now, like for instance, like if somebody toxic comes around me, it's automatic red flag.
Yep.
I'm like,
I don't want the energy.
no,
You know,
you know,
don't want
yeah,
it.
exactly.
I used to like gravitate towards it. I mean, look at me, I became a counselor, right?
yeah.
But I'm just saying, like,
I attract it too.
like,
It's
we
like,
are addicted to drama, addicted to chaos. So then when things are actually going well, which is the constant, in the present moment, all things are well, all is well. In this moment, all is well. The mind is racing off with a narrative or a story. Well, yeah, but in a minute or in a second or next week. But in this present moment, birds chirping, we're sitting here talking.
Right.
The mind doesn't like to stay in that state of idle. So it wants to pick up a narrative. And because the mind wants to always keep you safe, that's its primary function, it's always looking out for the saber-toothed tiger. It's awfulizing, catastrophizing, and future tripping. So we're always thinking worst case scenario. And what do we do? If think that you're going to have a bad date, you're going to bring that right in.
right, exactly.
Think that like your partner who's you're like, okay, look, I'm going to step out on my own. I'm going to get a divorce. This is scary, but I just know he's going to just cause havoc and everything. And it's like, okay, that could be happen, but also you're going to be just fine. You'll still be okay.
I keep saying, like, every time something comes up, because like we're in the midst of this divorce, and then I'm like, I take a deep breath and I'm like, okay, like you said, the birds are chirping, like everything's fine, like everything's fine.
Yeah.
And it's just like something I have to keep reminding myself of. And you know, it's a process. Like some days are really hard, and then some days I feel like it's all those little hard days too that add up, that like become like, oh, all of that turned into something beautiful. Like I feel like I've come so far in just like a few months, you know.
I truly believe that the universe has always has mapped out the most beautiful plan for your life.
Yeah.
And if we would just get out of our own way and not live with fear, which I call false evidence appearing real. If we can just learn to trust, like I always tell my clients, I'm like, when is the universe taking you off to the cliff and just dropped you off? Never,
Right. No.
never. Yet we're always like, oh my gosh, what happens if I don't have money? Everything always comes through right on time.
It does.
Everything works out, and then if it doesn't, you'll find a way.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like crazy. You'll always find a way.
You're not gonna die.
Yeah. And you know what I always tell myself too? I always tell myself, like, I go inside myself and I go, you know what? I truly am a kind person. Like, I don't have ill will to others. Like, I've done the work that I truly love myself and love others. So why would the universe not support me? You know what I'm saying? Like, why, if I were out there spreading toxicity and evil and whatever, but I'm truly trying to do the good work of trying to help other people, help myself, and be kind and loving, then that's what you're going to receive back. Because it's like everything's energy. Everything we attract what we put out.
It's so true.
And we're all mirrors. So if you're kind to others, people are going to be kind to you. And it's really about manifesting that. But I will say, you know, just knowing you and the time that you've been with going through this divorce, you know, he refused to do any work on himself. And as you carried your two daughters through this, you've awakened. But in that awakening, boy, you start to drift apart, where the things that used to hook you, that he might say, where you would be like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm bad, or maybe that's true what he's saying, or whatever. It's like it bounces right off, because if you read Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, I always quote him. Second agreement says nothing in life is personal. Nothing anybody says to us, does to us, or thinks about us is personal. It's all coming from all of their conditioning, all of their programming. So when someone says, you know, you're an idiot, how do they know you're an idiot? That's coming from a place in them that they feel inadequate, or you don't look good in that outfit, or you're too bit overweight, or you're not smart enough.
Right.
But this is all dumped onto us by our parents and conditioning and programming. And look, we can't deny we do it to our kids too. So let's be honest. But when you start to awaken, you realize my job is only to stay in my lane. My job. Whoops, my bad. I've been giving advice to everybody, telling everybody like you should be doing that, because why? And then you realize there's less to say.
Yeah.
Really,
No.
and life becomes really simple.
I've just been becoming more quiet. Like I'm just like, you know, even if like he like goes off normally what he does, and I'm just like, okay, like I just
Yeah.
I don't even
What is there
respond.
to say?
Nothing to say. Like I just honestly I honestly have a lot of compassion, and like just I'm like, wow, so much work to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like I just like
I love the texts that come like when you don't respond, they come in like all caps.
Yeah.
Like you better da da da, and they're mean, and then you just go,
I feel so much more at peace that way.
Yeah.
Like, just fighting back for what? Like, none of that stuff is true. I know it.
Because when you, yeah, that's right. Well, you know it. Because this is the thing we forget to do. We forget to check in with ourselves and go, someone's like, you're a piece of shit, you're an idiot, or this, and you're like, no, I'm not, no, I'm not. And we're trying to convince other people that we're
Yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah.
Why are we trying to convince someone else? If they believe we are, I don't, like, oh, well.
Yeah.
The world says this, love you, hate you, don't really care about you.
Right.
We're not that special. I mean, we are, but we aren't. And if you can
Right.
understand the duality in that, we're all things and we're nothing at all. And so in that flattens the ego, you can realize we're all just human beings bumping around trying to do this thing called life. And we're trying to do our very best. So give yourself some grace.
Right.
Give yourself a break, you know? But it's about not drinking the poison or the toxicity or the, you know, if someone like you know what, like if your partner, you know, you should have done this, you should have done that. Well, listen, I'm sorry you had an expectation or assumption, but if you can't clearly communicate what it is that you think I should be doing, that's on you.
Right.
It's on you.
Right. Exactly.
So either learn how to be more impeccable with your word and explain what you mean and mean what you say, but don't sit here and be like, well, you should have known.
I love that. Like, I need to read that book again, The Four Agreements.
Yeah.
I haven't made it all the way through, but like I like know a lot of like
It's
be
phenomenal.
impeccable with your word. I know that's part of it. So good. Like, I
Years,
need it.
I've used years and years. I've been,
Yeah.
I always come back to it. It's so basic.
Yeah.
Domestication or programming.
Yeah.
So I just want to say for any woman out there who is struggling, I know that it can be terrifying. It can be terrifying because, you know, you maybe for financial reasons or the threats are going to come and all this stuff. And yes, they will. You know what? Because the little baby is going to, the little baby's going to throw temper tantrums, okay? But I'll tell you what, you are a powerful being. You are powerful, more powerful than you know. And all is well. Spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, it's going to get you right through it.
And you have to just like trust the unknown and at some point like just jump in.
Yeah.
Like you know, I really feel like doors start opening and you get blessed in all type of ways when you just trust and you just jump.
Yeah.
And I've done so many of those things this year. Super scary.
I know. I remember texting you. I'm like,
Super scary.
You'll be like scared. I'm like, well, what are you gonna do about it? And I'll be like, because I'm a proponent of like, I know every time I'm gonna try something new, I'm gonna hit the wall. I already know it. But the next time I'll hit it, I'm gonna hit it maybe not so hard the next time, and then I'm gonna autocorrect. But I don't. You gotta get out there and roll around and get dirty.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Play it safe? We'll cover you in a blanket, give you 3 meals a day. You can, you know, we'll just kind of keep play safe. Like, well, that's not living.
No, it feels like death actually.
It does.
It does. And I've gone through that for so many years where I knew what I should be doing and I didn't do it, and then the same thing kept happening to me and I just felt physically sick and like I was dying inside.
Yeah.
So like nothing feels worse than that. Like there's no amount of fear on making like leaving a relationship or doing what you need to do to like, you know, better yourself or whatever it is. Nothing's scarier than that feeling.
Yeah.
Because that felt terrible.
And
So,
nothing's worse than staying in a relationship and being out of your alignment. Being, you know, as a woman, when you are not in alignment, you know what it's like to have sex with a man. Let's just get real. When it's like to feel like you have to do the things that are obligated. That is the worst feeling.
So
When you
horrible.
don't speak your truth and when you settle, that is, and you no longer respect your partner, there has to be, you want to be able to respect each other. Respect means that I know that this person can hold space for me. This person is going to treat me with love and kindness. This person is going to really care, not about their own self-interest. But if you haven't done that work, and I'll tell you, most couples, I have to tell you, a lot of times, not only do they come in too late for counseling, a lot of times it might be a little too late. It's okay, but if you can come in earlier when the communication problems are starting, you'll be surprised at how many assumptions, expectations we're running with, things we haven't even cleared up. It's like, I thought you knew that that's how I was treated when I was like an example, like you know, well, I thought you knew that, you know, I wanted you to plan the events on the weekend that we were supposed to do because that's how it was done in my family. Like, how
Right.
in the world, like. What?
How are you supposed to know that?
Right,
Yeah,
right. Well,
exactly.
did you know that I like to sit at home on the weekends? I'm a homebody. You know, I have one couple who are breaking up because the man's like, "You need to be more adventurous," and the wife's like, "Well, I can go on a few things, but I pretty much like to stay home." He's like,
Yeah.
"Well, that's not going to work for me." It's like, well, then why don't you go with your friends? I don't know.
Right, yeah.
Golly.
Like, oh,
I mean,
gosh.
we have to be able to. I mean, we are who we are, you know. So
Yeah, and we get into these relationships and like, don't you like? I mean, if it's that important to you, I feel like you should have like are you adventurous?
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Like, this is the one.
Right, exactly.
But we always end up with like the opposite,
Right,
right?
exactly.
And I don't even know, like, because I mean, I've only been in one crazy, like, this was my only relationship.
Really?
My first boyfriend.
Wow.
I've never
Wow.
I don't even know what it's like to be treated any other way.
Whoa. I'm so excited for your future.
Oh my God, I'm not, even though I'm sorry. I'm excited, but like,
No,
I
sorry.
am excited to fall in love with myself.
No, of course.
First?
Yes.
Because
I hope you are.
Because I don't know. I feel like I'm not healthy enough
Right.
to attract the right,
Right.
person right now.
Yeah.
I'm getting there, but I want to fully be at peace with with who I am, and really love all parts of myself.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm getting there, but it's still
Yeah.
creeping.
Oh,
in.
absolutely.
It's still creeping.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Oh, it's a lifetime.
It-
It's layers.
Yeah.
I remember 10 years ago doing this work, and my teacher, she's like, she goes, your picker's broken. I was like, my picker? She's like, yeah, your ability to pick men is broken. And I was like, what? And I would overlap
Oh,
them. I
gosh.
was like, look, if I'm leaving a relationship, I gotta have one.
Oh my God.
And she's like, you're a hot mess. No, she said to me, she goes, nobody that has any class. I mean, she's like, any class, I was very humbling. Any sophistication ever would date you. And I was like, oh, okay, because you play games. You're like, come catch me. You're all those little games that.
Did you play those games?
Yeah.
Really?
I would be like with the ones we see our kids play.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
ones like just games, like not direct and honest with what I want,
Right.
assuming all this stuff. And then so she said, she's like, I've got a proposition for you. I want you to spend 1 year not without dating. And I was like, wait, did you say 1
Really?
month? You mean, right? She's like, no, 1 year, because if you aren't able to learn who you are, and you give 50% of yourself away to another person, how are you ever truly going to know who you are? And I'll tell you what,
How was that year?
I'll tell you that at the beginning, the first couple months, it was tough, but I started getting into loving being alone, doing my own thing. I loved it.
Yeah.
And when that year came, I was like, I want to do another year. She's like, nope, time to go out. I truly loved, enjoyed
wow.
myself.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you, when I came back out, the type of person I met matched my frequency, because in that year, I was doing the work of uncovering taking off all the masks and all the layers, the caretaker, the placater, the goody two-shoes, the manipulator, the hustler, the victim, all of my archetypes, all of my masks that I was wearing, and coming back into alignment, into my true self. So I didn't have to hustle, play games. I felt confident. I could speak my truth. I was okay if a guy wasn't into me, because guess what? They don't have to be. Like,
Right,
they don't
right.
have to be. Like, oh, so a guy doesn't like me. Okay, not his taste. Well, it's like not personal,
Right.
because we feel the same way. But and that's when I found a match. It's so funny, my partner today. It's so interesting. He doesn't really put up with much at all. He used to love the drama, right?
Yeah.
And it's just so funny how, as a therapist, I could come home and be like, I don't think you talk often enough. And he'll look at me and he's like, so what's your point? And I'm like, perfect, stay like that. Because that's me getting out of my lane, being like,
Exactly.
you should change. You should be an apple instead of the orange that you are. And it's a great reminder of being like, this is who I am, If I've got something to say, I'll say it, but he's a man of few words.
Right.
And, that's just me. And it helps me check myself, because I realize, look at me trying to get out and try to manipulate or
Yeah.
get someone to act a
Yeah.
certain way. Even with our children, in slight ways, we do that. It's like, why don't you? Or maybe you should think about, or no.
Right.
We do that. It's always so staying in our own lane. But I highly suggest, date yourself first. Get to know
Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah, I'm starting to learn a lot about myself, because like I was so fixated on him the whole time, and like obsessing about fixing him and all the
Yeah.
things. And I'm not a perfect person. I'm like, I'm sure I was toxic in a lot of my own ways, and and just to like be the kind of person that's able to tolerate that kind of abuse or like toxic stuff. Like I'm trying to look at my own self right now. Like, why was I even able to do that? Like, why did I keep choosing that over and over again? Like, what is it about me that wanted that or believed that I deserved that? So like I'm just kind of digging deep into myself right now.
I
and
think it
trying
also
to figure
comes from that little, like, you go to that little 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old little girl who maybe felt abandoned as a little
Yeah.
kid, or didn't get that attention they needed from their parent, and that love me, see me, hear me, and that we all leave our, we all come into this world in divine consciousness, and look at any 2, 3, or 4-year-old. They're like, look at the butterfly, look at the cracks in the sidewalk.
Yeah.
They're not concerned about bills or the future. They
know.
could care less. So the return to the childlike state is removal of this mask. But we were hooked at such a young age by parents who, with their insecurities and their shortcomings. We can't fault our parents. Give me a break.
Yeah.
If it weren't for if it weren't for the fact that we were kicked out of alignment, how would we ever find our alignment?
Right.
If we weren't shown abandonment, how would we ever come back to self? If we weren't, so all
Right.
of it, the duality is all rich. We pull from those lessons. So it was like my dad being a militant father who told me I couldn't cry when I was young. I was like, oh, I only knew mad, glad, sad, and like frustrated as emotions in my 30s. I had to
Wow.
carry around a feelings chartless. And when I was given permission to have a feeling, I was like, well, what are these?
Right,
But then
yeah.
I realized my dad was shipped away to military boarding school when he was 8. How am I gonna get mad at my father? He didn't mean he didn't love me. It's just when I cried, he didn't understand me. I was like
Right,
an
yeah.
alien.
Yeah.
So am I gonna sit here the rest of my life and be like, you didn't give me enough love? It's like, no, or you didn't understand me. No, I didn't understand you because you were crying. It's just so
Yeah,
simple.
yeah.
And he's like, but then I realized, hey, when I don't cry, he gets me. And because I was taking everything so personal. So it's such a
Right.
beautiful journy if we can do that work. And I encourage everybody to do the work of peeling those layers, because it really comes from your little, that inner, I don't want to say like, everyone hears inner child work or whatever, but it's true. The little girl inside of you that we've pushed away, that we need to go back and take by the hand and revisit and say, like, come on, out of the dark room. It's time to integrate back into the heart, and let's move forward, because you're safe, you're loved, you've always been loved. There's nothing outside that can ever fill the inside. You've always been source energy, all that is love, loving, and everything emanates from in and outwards. So I can't think of one thing another person can give me that I can't give myself. I mean, I really can't.
So true.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
something that we practice. And as we as women, this generation, are starting to wake up, we're also bringing our kids into that alignment, which is so beautiful, and we can really start to show them. I annoy my daughter a lot, I know, I'm sure, as a therapist mom. But I'm just like, why is it personal? And she's like, it's very personal. Right? Like at 14, it is. But you can lay some seeds and stuff like that. But just starting, like, letting them know that they are loved, that they're enough.
Yeah.
But it starts with us having to feel enough.
Yeah, no,
So.
for sure. I feel like I'm in the process of learning that now in my
Yeah.
30s, and also like going through that while my kids are like watching me do it.
Yeah,
So I haven't
amazing.
always modeled that for them, I think. Obviously them watching me not choose myself over and over, but I'm now doing it. So
What a
it feels-
blessing.
Yeah, you think so?
Oh my gosh! Wait, let me tell you something. Did you ever see your? I never got to see my mom change.
No, no,
right,
that's
okay,
true.
okay.
That's true. Yeah.
They're actually witnessing. They get to witness a mother who went this direction for so many years and has done a 180 and is now entering this. It gives me tears. You're showing them how to stand in their truth, how to speak their voice. They come to you because you feel safe.
Right.
The more work you do, they feel grounded.
Yeah.
And we don't have to worry so much about going out and fixing our kids. As long as we work on ourselves being aligned, they'll get in behind us and fall in their alignment,
Right.
because they see it and they are always looking for our energy.
Right.
When our energy is really, like, if we're like, if our frequency is really high, so is theirs. When we calm down, so does theirs. So you can they feed off of our energy.
Right.
So the more, I remember my mom being like, wear black and make you look thinner. Like statements like, what in the world? Or like, don't leave the house without makeup. They're like, what?
Oh my
Wait,
God, I know.
What? Right? It's so funny. And you can't fault her. She's 80. That was 1950s, right?
Right.
I remember this one. When your husband comes home, make sure that he talks first and you talk less.
She said that to
Yeah,
you?
I
You're
go.
lying.
It was written in a home economics book. I swear to you, I can show you. 1950s
God.
home economics book, how to treat your husband. I can show you.
Oh my
And it said,
goodness.
It said, prepare the kids, make sure they don't talk much, let them be on their best behavior. Prep the room, make sure everything's swept, be quiet, turn off the vacuum and all the things. I'm like, oh my gosh, a man's home is his, if he complains or doesn't come home on time, don't get upset. He's had a hard day.
Right.
What?
Stop it.
And then, the one best part it says, make sure to be a little more interesting. Make like
Oh my God.
yeah, be like have something productive to say, but try to be a little more interesting. Can you imagine hearing that as a little girl being like, so who I am isn't interesting enough?
Right. Yeah. That's
So make yourself,
terrifying.
yeah, make yourself a little more interesting, and that's the birth of like the cues that we see little girls like 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 having to use all these little flirts and everything. It's like, hey, no, how about like I already know I'm interesting. Let's see if you are. How's
yeah,
that?
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
But I'll tell you what. So this has been great, though. I think this is a good start.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just wanted to share this with you guys. If you hopefully you guys find this helpful, and there'll be more to come. So,
Okay. All
all right,
right.
thanks.
Bye.
Bye.